What would drive someone to sabotage the simple joy of children flying kites on a sunny afternoon? In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, where picket fences and manicured lawns painted a picture of serenity, a single act of malice unraveled a community's trust and exposed a truth far more bitter than anyone could have imagined. It was a breezy Saturday in late spring, the kind of day where the sky seemed to hum with possibility. Children from the neighborhood gathered in the open field behind Willow Creek Park, their laughter rising like music as colorful kites danced against the azure sky. Among them was 12-year-old Mia Alvarez, her dark braids bouncing as she tugged at the string of her dragon-shaped kite. Her younger brother, Leo, cheered as his bright red kite soared higher, catching the wind with a defiant swoop. The scene was pure, unadulterated joy until Karen Whitaker arrived. Karen, a wiry woman in her late 40s with a perpetually pinched expression, lived on the edge of the park. Her house, a pristine two-story with immaculate shutters, was the envy of the neighborhood, but so was her reputation for meddling. Known for her relentless complaints to the Homeowners Association, Karen had a knack for spotting infractions. A lawn slightly too long, a car parked an inch over the line, or, in this case, children flying kites in a field she deemed her view. That morning, Karen had called the local police, her voice sharp with indignation. "Those kids are trespassing," she'd claimed, though the field was public property. "Their kites are a hazard. They could get tangled in power lines or distract drivers. I demand you do something." The officer on the line, a weary veteran named Officer Daniels, promised to send someone to check, but his tone suggested he'd heard Karen's complaints before. By noon, a patrol car rolled up to the field. The children froze, their kites dipping slightly as Officer Daniels stepped out. He was a broad-shouldered man with a kind face, and he waved off their worried glances. "Just keep flying, kids," he said, scanning the field. "No laws broken here." Mia and Leo exchanged relieved looks, their kites climbing again. But Karen, watching from her porch with binoculars, wasn't satisfied. Her lips tightened into a thin line. If the police wouldn't act, she'd take matters into her own hands. As the sun dipped low, casting golden streaks across the field, the children began packing up. Mia and Leo lingered, their kites still aloft, reluctant to end the perfect day. That's when Karen made her move. Slipping out her back gate with a pair of gardening shears in hand, she moved swiftly through the tall grass, her eyes locked on the kite strings swaying in the breeze. She didn't notice the small figure trailing her, a 10-year-old boy named Ethan, a quiet kid from down the street who'd been watching her all afternoon. Ethan, who always carried his phone to film birds, had his camera rolling. With a quick snip, Karen severed the string of Leo's red kite. It spiraled wildly, crashing into the grass as Leo let out a wail. Mia spun around, her eyes wide with shock. "What happened?" she cried, running to her brother. Before they could process the loss, Karen cut another string. Mia's dragon kite, its vibrant wings crumpling as it plummeted. The other children gasped, some shouting, others frozen in disbelief. Karen, her face flushed with a strange mix of triumph and fury, slipped the shears into her pocket and turned to leave. But Ethan stepped forward, his phone still recording. "I saw you," he said, his voice trembling but firm. "I got it all on video." Karen froze, her eyes narrowing as she registered the boy's presence. For a moment, the air crackled with tension. Then she laughed, a sharp, dismissive sound. "You think anyone will care what a kid says? Go home, little boy." But Ethan didn't back down. He clutched his phone tighter, his small frame shaking with resolve. By evening, the video was everywhere. Ethan had sent it to his older sister, Lila, a high schooler with a knack for social media. Lila posted it on the neighborhood's X group, captioning it, "Karen Whitaker caught cutting kids' kite strings. Who does this?" The post exploded, racking up hundreds of shares and comments within hours. Neighbors who'd long tolerated Karen's complaints were outraged. "This is low even for her," one wrote. Another posted, "Those kids were just having fun. What's wrong with her?" Karen, unaware of the growing storm, sat smugly in her living room, sipping chamomile tea. She assumed the incident would blow over, as her complaints usually did. But the next morning, she woke to a crowd outside her house. Parents, children, and even Officer Daniels stood in her driveway, their faces a mix of anger and disappointment. Lila was there, holding her phone. The video paused on Karen's unmistakable figure wielding the shears. "Care to explain this, Ms. Whitaker?" Officer Daniels asked, his voice calm but firm. Karen's face paled. She stammered. "Two was protecting the neighborhood. Those kites were dangerous." But the crowd wasn't buying it. Mia stepped forward, her eyes glistening with tears. "That kite was a gift from my dad," she said quietly. "He made it for me before he died last year." The words hit like a punch, silencing the murmurs. Karen's mouth opened, then closed, her usual bravado crumbling. What no one expected, what even Karen didn't know until that moment, was the twist that would unravel her further. Ethan's mother, Mrs. Chun, pushed through the crowd, her face a mask of quiet fury. "You don't even know what you've done," she said, her voice low but piercing. Mrs. Chun revealed something no one in Willow Creek had known. Karen wasn't just a nosy neighbor. Years ago, she'd been a teacher at the local elementary school, beloved by her students until she was quietly let go for reasons no one discussed. Mrs. Chun, a former colleague, knew the truth. Karen had been caught tampering with a student's science fair project, jealous of the child's success. The incident was hushed up, but it had broken Karen, turning her bitterness into a vendetta against the world. The revelation hung heavy in the air. Neighbors who'd once pitied Karen's loneliness now saw her in a new light, a woman consumed by resentment, lashing out at children to reclaim some twisted sense of control. Karen's eyes darted from face to face, searching for an ally, but found none. Even Officer Daniels, who'd always been polite, shook his head. "You've gone too far this time," he said. The fallout was swift. The Homeowners Association banned Karen from filing complaints for a year. The children's parents organized a kite-making workshop, turning the field into a vibrant display of resilience, with dozens of new kites soaring in defiance. Mia and Leo's kites were replaced, but the sting of their loss lingered. Ethan, hailed as a hero, gained newfound confidence, his quiet demeanor replaced by a spark of courage. But the story didn't end with justice served. Karen retreated into her house, the curtains drawn tight. Days turned to weeks, and she was rarely seen. Whispers circulated that she'd put her house up for sale, unable to face the community's scorn. One evening, as Mia walked past Karen's house, she saw a flicker of movement at the window. For a moment, she thought she saw Karen's face, not angry or smug, but broken eyes red, cheeks hollow. Mia paused, her heart tugging with a mix of pity and pain. She wanted to hate Karen, but all she felt was sorrow for a woman so lost she destroyed the joy of others to feel something herself. In the end, Willow Creek moved on. The kites flew higher, the children laughed louder, and the field became a symbol of triumph over pettiness. But for Karen, there was no redemption, no final act of contrition. She slipped away quietly, her house sold to a young family who filled it with laughter and light. The neighborhood healed, but the scar of her actions remained a reminder that bitterness, unchecked, can cut deeper than any kite string. Nd.